Hi everybody, I'm Tiffany of Tiffany's Epiphanies, and I've just had a really busy day. I had work, then I worked out, then I came home, and I was like, I've really got to make this video before something else I have to do here in the next hour. And so I'm on my bed and just laying down, and I was like, but I've got to make this video today. So someone had made a post on Facebook about worrying is you not trusting God. And I really love that. I put a really long post on there, and I just said I was going to elaborate a little bit. A couple of years ago, I'd been working for a company. I've worked for Outback for many, many years, and I've always wanted to be a salaried manager. I believe in its commitments, principles, and beliefs, what it stands for. And the restaurant industry is hard. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. I feel there's an expiration date on it. You know, you might say that's ageism or whatever, but I'd gotten sober in the restaurant industry, and a lot of people don't think that that's possible, but I did it. But that's my recovery. I don't know what you have going on in your life, but I did what I had to do. I had to work, and it just worked out. I mean, I did white knuckle a lot. I've talked about that before, and so I finally became a salaried manager, and I'm like, yes, I want to teach people about the principles and beliefs. I love my job. I'll make people love their job. I'm going to be amazing. I had such high expectations, and I wish I could remember the story that it's in, but the higher expectations, the lower our serenity, because we just set ourselves up for failure when we do that. I thought I was going to be a traveling manager, and I was going to help different stores, be that ray of sunshine coming in on a cloudy day when everything's been going wrong. And they're like, no, you're going to go to the store. They had just gotten a bunch of proprietors had left, managers. There was just this huge turnover. And so they were excited about me because I didn't really have to be trained as much because I had so many years. And I got there, and it was hard. I lived in a big city in Birmingham. I lived there by myself. And we worked 50, 55-hour weeks. I didn't have time to do anything really. And when I did and made plans, I worked every weekend. I told my parents and my friends back home, I said, look, I can only come visit about maybe once every other week or once a month. I have to make connections. I don't have time to do anything with people, and I can't just keep coming home. And it was just really hard. And I remember trying to find AA meetings. And it was really funny. The ray of hope in all this is there was this table, this lady was so allergic to everything, but they were so sweet. And I remember after talking to them for a while, they're like, hey, would you like to visit our church? And it turned out it was this huge Presbyterian church that was actually on my way to work. And I was like, yeah, I'm Southern Baptist, but I'm pretty open-minded. And I went, and it was during Christmas time when I went, and everything was just hardwood all in the room, and it was huge, and there was this huge choir, and it was amazing, and I really loved it. I became part of a Bible study there. I started making connections, but I still felt sad and still couldn't find stuff to do, still couldn't make the time. And even though I'm starting to make connections and going to church, but still I'm like, hey, can I come in a little later so I can do stuff with them afterwards? And they're all like, no, you have to come in. And so eventually an opening came back up in my hometown, and I was like, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to go home. And I went home, and I thought that would work. And I'd only been gone about a year, and just things had changed. People change. A lot of people I'd worked with are gone. And it's the restaurant life. I have a different perception of what fun is. I have a different perception of what work is supposed to be. And I just got to where, I hated it. And I was like, I just don't like this anymore. I just want to quit. I'm done. I hate it. And when you're in sobriety and you're in recovery and you start feeling that squirrely feeling, it's just something in you. If you're in recovery, I think you understand it. And I've had that feeling before. And I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. I don't feel right. And so I almost quit the company, period. And they're like, no, just step down. First they tried to get me to become a kitchen manager. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I work hard. I'll help everybody. and it's going to be great. Well, then at this point, I had started going to church more. I wasn't going to AA as much. And they're like, well, you can't go to Sunday morning church services anymore. And you can only have so many days off. It was just really hard, and I was really sad about it. And so I was kitchen manager, and on Sundays I was always rushing to get off of work by 5 o'clock in the afternoon so I could change and go to church that night. And a couple of times it'd be scheduled because they're like, oh, you might have to stay and work for someone that didn't want to come in today. And I would just cry. I would be so upset. And sometimes work would interfere with even my AA. I'd try to go to AA a little bit, and it just, at the time I was going through this change, and and eventually I'm just like, I just can't do this anymore. I'm miserable. I'm like, yeah, you're making us miserable too. So I stepped down, and I decided to go back to school. And I loved going to school. I'm a nerd. I can't help it. I love it. And I went back, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to do something with it. And, I graduated in May of 2018. I was so excited. I finally finished my communications degree. During that time, I cut my hours at work. I said, look, guys, I have a line to draw. If you want me, I'll be here for you. But I had to draw a line. I had to say no. I had to set boundaries. And that's something that's so hard to do in recovery, is to set boundaries, because you don't want to look like a jerk. But at the same time, I wanted to be happy. I wanted my soul to feel good. My soul just felt sick. And so I actually became part of my church choir. I was so excited. I love singing in church. At first, I sang off key. I didn't know all the songs, but then I remember getting up on stage and going to practice, and I sat with the altos, and I learned how to sing harmony, and I would always feel like a little alto pillow in the middle of these two girls. I just loved every second, and I love it now. To me, singing is like we're giving back to God and we're praising Him, and so I sing loud, and sometimes I sing off key, and you'll see my face like make this awful face like I've smelled something bad, but I've sang a sour note. And I love and I sing solos. I mean, I try. They say I do good. I have a video on my Tiffany's Epiphanies page. It was one of the first times I ever sang, and I sang last week, and so I want to get that up so people can see, because on a tangent, I used to have a boyfriend that did karaoke a lot, and I would sing, but I always had to have liquid courage. I always had to have alcohol in my system. I did a couple of drugs sometimes when I would sing. Sorry, Mom and Dad. This might be, where everybody can hear, but everybody knows that I have a past. I'm not going to go too far into it, but I used to love to sing karaoke. I called myself a karaoke whore, is what I called myself. And so, at church, they're like, man, you're just so happy up there. I smile because I'm like, I'm singing, I'm happy, and I said, I have found a sufficient substitute. I don't need alcohol. I have God in my life. And so He's filled that hole that I was trying to just put something in for years. And, but I'm human. I'm going to mess up from time to time, not relapse, but maybe like a bad behavior or something like that. But anyways, that's what I had going on. And, and then I had this new job. So at Outback, I gave a 2-week notice to say Outback is no longer my priority. And people are like, wow, you're just never here anymore. Because I've been there now for a total of 17 years. I love the company, but the hospitality industry, I'm ready to have my own special occasions. I've been a part of other people's special occasions, and they're good times for years, and now I want to have my own. So I'm now at a car dealership, and I'm starting at the very bottom. They're like, you're 39 years old and you want to start off making $9 an hour? And I said, I need the experience. I have no experience in marketing and sales. I mean, I had sales from restaurant work, but nothing like selling cars and trucks and vans, things like that. Now I'm working on social media, and it kind of made me want to get back into my recovery social media. So, and now I remember talking to someone else. I'm part of a political campaign too. I do stuff for them for free. I volunteer because I need the experience. So it's kind of like, man, I'm just starting over. it's so frustrating at night. Like, I'm 39 years old. I should have a home. I should, have a family by now, but I just let that all kind of go. And for a little while, I was mad at God. I was mad in my sobriety. I think about a year and a half, 2 years sober, I had a lot of resentment against God, but it was just, I was mad because my path was different than I wanted it to be. But, when we're reading in our discipleship, and I'm going to start talking more about my discipleship when I learned, we were reading Deuteronomy, and God knew that even though the Israelites had saw all kinds of good things, that they would leave him, that they would want to, focus on other things. They want to worship other things. And God's like, but whenever you're ready to come back, I'm here for you. Because God knew that I was going to be a prodigal child. And I'm just like, oh, I wish I'd have known. I was like, why did I have to go through all this through all my life? Kind of sucks, because I'm a good girl. I was always a good girl. Maybe in another video in the future, I'll talk about that, talk about my story. But yeah, and it's frustrating. It's a little embarrassing, but I'm like, I have no husband. I don't have children. No one is directly affected. The people that really prosper from this is my parents. My parents are older, so I'm kind of home if they need anything. I go out and get stuff. I help them around the house. So, and they're like, don't go off until you get settled into something steady. And I appreciate that. God has softened my mom and my dad's heart to let me do that. There's just different things that he's done that you don't realize. People always think about what you don't have, and I'll get embarrassed. And I'm like, but you know what? My parents love me enough to do that. I don't know if it's necessarily enabling, but they see me wanting to be better. Like, better myself. You can't beat that. They know that I'll always be there for them. So, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yes, I was bitter for a little while, but I have a relationship with my higher power, who is God. And, I've been studying the Bible, and it helps me understand it so much better. Helps me with my program, because we talk about stuff at church, and I'm like, we learned that in the program. This is kind of tangenty. Again, I do that a lot. I'm kind of like Dane Cook. You know how Dane Cook goes on tangents, but they're still hilarious, and hopefully this will still be salient to what I'm talking about. But, I think I almost forgot what I was talking about. But, my higher power has something for me. I don't know what it is yet. I had a bitterness against him for just a little bit, but I worked through that because God knows everything. I don't mean to get religious in my talks, but through AA, I worked a spiritual program. I'd gone to church as a child, and I loved the fellowship of church, being around good people. That's what I wanted. And I learned about God, and I wanted to be a good person, and I was saved, and I really was saved. Like, I really wanted God, and I worshiped. I didn't study like I should have, but, through AA, I learned that relationship on how to let go and let God, like giving it over to God. I could not understand that. I used to think it was something Christians say when they wanted to be lazy and not do something, but, I just learned an easier way to live. And I don't know how to help people. I come across atheists all the time. I know a couple of people in AA who are atheists, and so I always keep their numbers on speed dial. I talk to them from time to time. It's so much easier not to put your hands on stuff and fight things all the time. Now, you do have to make some decisions, but a lot of times you need to pause when you think about it. So, that's kind of what my video was about today. I talked for a really long time, but hopefully this can explain some things. That was just what's been going on in my life. Some people asked, so now if you're ever curious, you can watch this video and see what was going on. That's kind of with work and how things change. So hopefully this can help you out. Please, if you haven't before, please like the video, and please subscribe. And if you want to hear more in the future, hit that little bell down there, and I would love to, help anybody out that needs it, because you know what? Someone done this for me. Someone told me about a program. People told me about an easier way to live, and I'm just passing on what I've learned and through my experience. So thank you so much for your time, and God bless, loves, stick it in your spiritual toolkit. Hopefully this can help you later. Have a great day.